Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It's fantastic you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video on Cyndi Lauper, and through her song True Colours, we looked about the fact that sometimes all of our colours, the blues, the greys, the red, the oranges, all of the colours that make us up as human beings, let's just let them all shine, particularly to those who love us. So I trust you found that one an encouragement. Well, we're going on to 1981 Eurovision Song Contest winners today. Bobby G, Cheryl Baker, Mike Nolan and Joy Aston. Took the world by storm with their song Making Your Mind Up, and the guys were talking about a Bucks Fizz. Now, ABBA won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1974 with Waterloo. These guys very much took the world by storm when they did their 1981 Eurovision performance. We're pretty well talking pop perfection here in many ways. These guys had the look. They were very good looking foursome, these guys. Songwriters as well. Their harmonies are pretty good, and the dance moves are very tight, so they're all round performers, that is for sure. Now, between 1981 and 1986 there were 5 albums as well, so that's very busy for these guys indeed. There were 18 videos, 24 singles, and it's estimated they have sold 50 million albums. So it just goes to show how successful guys can be when they get all the elements right, and these guys certainly did that. Now, there's tragedy in the Bucks Fizz story, because in December 1984 there was an ill-fated bus accident. All 4 of them were actually on that coach. Some of them went through the windscreen, and Bobby G in particular was badly injured. Now, the commentators have said that Bucks Fizz were never the same after this. They had everything going for them. They said a string of hits and everything else. Then this bus crash happened and it all kind of stopped for them a bit. Interestingly, Bobby G, who was injured the most, he's actually been in Bucks Fizz, and these guys are actually still going in various combinations around the world. He's actually still been pretty much there from the start. So yes, quite sad, I think, for the world when that particular story broke, and yeah, a bit of a tragedy for Bucks Fizz. But it's good to know that through the adversity and shock of that particular thing, that they were kind of able to keep going to a certain extent. And in fact, in 2009, Nolan, Baker and Aston actually got together and actually doing a 25-year performance of Making Your Mind Up in recognition of that accident some 25 years earlier. So it's still kind of getting to them a bit. I mean, it was pretty bad there for a while. Now, as I said, Eurovision song winners. Now, there's a song we need to talk about, and I've already mentioned it, Making Your Mind Up. This is what broke Bucks Fizz to the world. I also think of songs like Piece of the Action and Land of Make Believe and a few others. But Making Your Mind Up is certainly the song that I wanted to talk about today. This is where they had the dance moves, and this is where they had the harmonies pretty well through the whole song. I think the girls pretty much were providing the rich harmonies here, and the guys were just taking lead vocals. Making your mind up. How important is it for us to make our mind up about stuff? I was trying to work out the best way to talk about this today, and I would have actually demonstrated this, but it might have got a bit messy, so I'll try and explain it instead. There was a professor in front of his class, and he had this glass jar, and in it he put 2 big rocks. Now, you might know the story, you may not. And he said to the class, hey, now is this glass jar full? And of course, most of the people said, yeah, can't really put much else in there. And the guy tipped gravel in there. And obviously gravel is smaller than the stones, and the people went, yeah, well. And he said, what about now? Is it full? And as the class looked at the jar and the gravel, he said, well, it's not really, it's pretty full now. Then the professor tipped sand in there. And of course the sand filled up the gaps between the gravel. And the class, who were quite intrigued at this point, were thinking, not sure if we're going to answer because it might not be. And sure enough, the professor then tips water into the jar, filling up the gaps between the sand. I think there's a really, really big takeaway from here. And I think what the professor was trying to say is that in our lives there are the big immovable rock objects. There's the things like perhaps our work that we do, or our significant relationships that we do. These are big immovable objects. And there is space around the big immovable objects for the little bits and pieces that we do in our lives. What happens though when one of the immovable objects needs to change? Could be your relationship. Could be a job. When you're looking at your job, you think, oh man, I don't really want to go today. I'm over this thing and I want to do something different. And sure enough, another opportunity comes along and you think, oh, should I do this one or not? Maybe. And so you're in this kind of transition between what you have known, what immovable rock you actually had in your past, and a new immovable rock starting to emerge. Can your brain, or what we know about our brains anyway, comprehend both of these things? Can you give yourself both to these things? No, because your heart is probably leaving the previous one and it's needing to embrace the new one. At some point, the mind has to be made up and the mind has to be clear of what has been known in the past so you can give yourself completely to the new thing. Making your mind up. If you think, well, I'm going to just do both of them because, the thing before is important and this new thing's pretty good, I'm going to do both for a while. My argument would say is actually someone who has actually been in this scenario, this situation where I was managing a group for a while, and that was very much a big part of my world, and then that needed to change as a new opportunity came up. I couldn't keep doing what I was doing without compromising the new thing I was doing. So in a sense, my brain needed the space to embrace the new. You almost need to forget the past thing. But I think one thing I did discover though is that you can bring forward the good experience that you had through that group or whatever it is you do. Just bring that forward and utilize it for the next part of your life journey. Making your mind up. I don't think you can leave these situations for too long. It can only be a matter of weeks really, because the new place deserves the best of your attention, and you can't do that when you've got part of your brain somewhere else. You need to make your mind up to move. Now, in the context of this song, it's very much talking about the fact that, I think you're pretty cool and I want to be with you. But you've got to make your mind up. You've got to hang around long enough to work out whether this is right for you. I'm going to give you a little bit of space to work it out, but not too long. You're either with me or you aren't. Make your mind up. And in one of the bridges of the songs, don't let the indecision sneak up from behind, because you can't move forward when your brain and heart are in two places. You've got to leave the old leave the last immovable rock and put a new immovable rock in there. So now if you're in the situation right now where you're like, in this transition phase, you don't want that transition phase to go on for too long, really, because you're actually not giving yourself to the new thing. Sometimes we've got to let go. We've got to physically take the rock out of our world and put a new rock in it. That means taking all the gravel and the sand and the water and everything else out. And because changing a rock is a big, massive event in your life, but you've got to be able to do it, to give the new rock an opportunity to do what it needs to do. So if you're in the situation right now, don't let the transition go on for too long. Make up your mind and go with it. Trust yourself that you've made the right decision. Well, hope that will be an encouragement for you today. Well, on to the clips. Now, we do have Making Your Mind Up. And again, 1981 Eurovision Song Contest winner. Very successful song for Bucks Fizz. Went to #1 in many countries. Now, we do have 2 live versions of this one. Now, there is a very famous move in this particular clip. I won't let you know what it is. I'll let you discover that for yourself. We have the Eurovision Song Contest performance from 1981. And I thought I'd also do another live version from around 2014. Now, I reckon this is the same 4. And it is a performance where they're just a little bit older, but you know what? They still got the harmonies, the vocals, the look, the whole thing going on. And yes, the move is there. And so that song's there for you to check out. We've also got another one of the hits, Land of Make Believe. This also went to #1, and this came from the Are You Ready album of 1982. This is the official clip, and this is just a song about, I suppose, their own experience of, wow, we're just really, really famous and successful. It's just all a bit Land Make Believe. So I reckon it's a bit of a commentary on their experience. It's good to be able to reflect on that, I'm thinking. And I thought if you're interested, we do have a video about the 1984 accident. It's a bit of a short documentary about the significance and the effect that this had on Bucks Fizz. There's Rick Wakeman in there. Now, Rick Wakeman is a classic Yes guy from the band Yes. He talks about them as well. So there was a bit of, it did rock the music industry, this particular accident. And so there's a video about that if you are interested. So the links to all of those videos are in the description below. So feel free to look at all of them or some of them, whatever you'd like to do, but certainly have a look at Making Your Mind Up from the 1981 Eurovision. If you want to check out them a bit older, that one's there for you as well. Well, if you've come back for another one, it's fantastic. If this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, so great for you to be here. And thank you everybody for hanging around. It's really, really cool. The encouragement always is that please hang around to the end because you might find the stuff we talk about interesting. Well, that's it for today. And by the way, I've also included my last video from Cyndi Lauper. So if you want to check out that one, the link is below for that one. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to legendary rockers, arena rock, Boston, with their classic song, More Than a Feeling. So until then, I'll catch you around.